USA Ultimate is proud to present the 2015 College National Championship. This is the men's championship between Oregon and North Carolina. Live from Eline Soccer Park here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Yesterday, in the rain and the wind and the chilly weather, Oregon defeated Florida State 15-12, while North Carolina defeated Central Florida 15-10, setting up our title match late this afternoon. I'm Jim Barber. This is Evan Lepler, the voice of Ultimate. We are pleased and honored to be a part of a game where we have two Callahan winners going at each other, and obviously two great players and passers.
The second time in USA Ultimate Men's Championship history that two Callahan winners go head-to-head in the title game. 10 years ago, Josh Zipperstein's Brown team beat Josh Ackley's Colorado team. This year, Nethercutt for Carolina, Freechild for Oregon. It's a fascinating matchup. Two teams with two individuals whose legacies could be defined by today's proceedings.
All right, Evan, let's profile the teams and profile the players, beginning with Oregon Eagle, located in Eugene.
Just like the Oregon women who just celebrated a national championship, the Oregon men have been a strong program for such a long time. In semifinals 4 straight years, but after 3 semifinal losses, they got over the hump, said head coach Jay Jannon, into the championship game. And you can't talk about Oregon without talking about Dylan Freechild. He won the Player of the Year award 2 years ago, but the championship has eluded him. He's a unique athlete, incredible speed. He's incredibly intelligent. He's going to have to take some chances today against UNC's big defense.
Speaking of eluding, North Carolina in the championship game last year and losing, great opportunity today with Jonathan Nethercutt.
Well, you know, 4 years ago, Oregon was a national power. UNC was not. You know, they were not a nationals caliber team 4, 5, 6 years ago. But under the leadership of Mike DeNardis, they've really grown, and last year they went to the championship game like an NBA basketball team, a young team. You almost have to lose a big game before you can win one. And UNC thinks this is their year. Jonathan Nethercutt won the Callahan Award, very deserving. He's a great spirited player on the field. He has these unbelievably huge throws. He's the leader of the entire community that hopes to celebrate tonight.
Two of the best players and one of the underdog teams, Oregon, ready to square off here next on ESPN3 for the men's national championship. The 2015 USA Ultimate College Championships are presented by Discraft Ultrastar, the official disc of USA Ultimate. Ask your retailer for Discraft Ultrastar. The Triple Crown Tour, the Sport of Ultimate's premier competitive experience. And by USA Ultimate, the national governing body for the Sport of Ultimate in the United States. For more information or where to find out to play Ultimate in your area, visit usaultimate.org. Evan, let's take a look at the starting lines, beginning with Oregon, besides Dylan Freechild, who sticks out.
Well, Connor Matthews, just a sophomore, but a key deep threat. He's up, he's down. If he's up, Oregon's really dangerous.
Jay Jannon is the head coach. As for North Carolina, led by the great Jonathan Nethercutt, let's signal out somebody in addition to him. Jimmy Zura, his defense sticks out, I know that.
Zura was tremendous yesterday, but Ben Snell is the other guy who could have a Nethercutt-like impact on this game. Snell, a star in himself, but North Carolina just has so many cogs. Warshauer, Archer, Moore, all dangerous deep threats. And in a windy day, they'll take their shots. North Carolina feels they have a serious height advantage over Oregon. That's something they didn't have last night against Central Florida.
When it comes to Ultimate, this is what you need to know. 7 players to a side. First team to 15 wins the game. Halftime, once a team scores 8, disc may advance in any direction. The player may not run with the disc. Player must pass disc within 10 seconds. It's self-officiated. Team switch ends after each score. Because of the soft cap of the first game, we didn't get to 15, but we did get a women's championship in Oregon, defeating Stanford 13-11. The weather seems to be improving.
Still pretty breezy.
Yeah, I suppose you're right.
Sunny, better than rainy. But,
yesterday, it was 55 at first pull. And that wind was a huge factor in the women's game, with a lot of first half turnovers, but not nearly anywhere near as many in the second half.
You think under the sunshine, Jim, that North Carolina might want to go with their white jerseys, but no, they're the dark side, and they prefer to go in their black uniforms. That's their trademark look that has been for years.
And Oregon will never, ever leave the green.
Going black and green. Looks like Oregon's going to receive the opening pull from UNC.
And Oregon looking for the daily double. They tried to accomplish it in 1992, the men and women. The men won the championship. The women did not. Today, the women have already won theirs. Can the men follow suit?
Expect this to be a really tremendous game. These two teams met in pool play, but it was a very meaningless pool play game for both teams. UNC had already wrapped up the first place spot in the pool, and the conversation has been Pool C in 2015, greatest pool in the history of nationals.
Yeah,
with these two teams, Florida State, Maryland, and Illinois too.
I think that's pretty accurate as Oregon picks up the disc and goes to work first.
UNC did not show these junky zone defenses throughout the regular season. Mike Denardis was saving them for regionals and nationals.
Colton Clark ahead to Eric Norman. We talked about that in yesterday's broadcast last night about saving your best for the biggest time of the year, and it's been effective so far for North Carolina.
That was fast.
Adam Rees with the first goal of the game for Ego.
Dylan Freechild found him. Nice crafty throw from the 2013 Player of the Year in College Ultimate, Dylan Freechild. Well, North Carolina has a lot of different zone looks, junk looks at the start of a point. This one was shredded. Freechild patient, saw it open. That's a lefty backhand for the score. His lefty backhand looked just as comfortable as a righty throw would have. Takes a lot of chutzpah to throw that lefty throw, the opening point of a championship game.
Yes, a lot of confidence brewing here, and that's going to be important. In the women's game, we had 0 separation until the second half. 7th goal of the tournament for Adam Rees. Well, you mentioned the superstar pool with North Carolina clinching over Florida State and Oregon right behind at 2-2.
Don't be fooled by the 15-5 score. UNC was resting their starters. That was their last game of pool play. They were 3-0 with a win over Florida State, so they could not be topped. Don't fault Darkside at all for going that route, but it is funny. They might not have been able to knock out Oregon, but Oregon certainly gained confidence from that game.
Like an NFL Week 17, right?
Sure.
When you're resting your starters, but
you never know how it's going to impact you the next game or two.
Absolutely.
Oregon, the first team to go from pre-quarters to the finals since the field expanded to 20 teams at nationals.
Chris Straub gets the defensive assignment to start the game on Nethercutt, and that's the matchup right there.
Nobody was going deep. That's a turnover.
I don't know if that was intended for Justin Moore or not. Moore didn't break, though.
Warshower was in the vicinity as well, but miscommunication. Funny, Oregon was so careful last night. They know that they're not a deep team. They know they're not gigantic. But they've been burning teams in the unders. Freechild against this zone D.
Right now an area with that wind that everybody has to be careful of, protecting their own zone and not turning it over.
Intercepted by Nethercutt.
Which is exactly what happened. Scoring opportunity for North Carolina. And we're tied at 1.
Thought Snell was in the end zone initially. They ruled him out, so he quickly tapped the disc back into play, set his pivot foot, and finished the point. The flick just bounced a little too high from Freechild, and Nethercutt got the movement going quickly.
Oregon with its last finals appearance in 03. As mentioned, last won the championship in 1992, and the turnovers in a short field resulting in, typically with really good teams, result in scores.
Well, the different dynamic for Oregon this year, Jim, is that they really feel like there's no pressure on them. And they felt that way all weekend. Coming in as the 15th seed, they started 0-2. There were people discussing what's wrong with Oregon. And obviously, you know, like UNC Wilmington last year, it's tough start to nationals does not mean you can't still excel. They beat Minnesota in the pre-quarters, upset Texas in the quarterfinals. And as we saw yesterday, a very good Florida State team that was poised to try to make its first finals appearance ran into the Ego buzzsaw.
Ego off the pole that rolls out of bounds. Meyer picks up. Here we go with Oregon. And down the field and headed to the end zone.
It's going to take a little while for these teams to realize what the wind is going to do on the deep shot in each direction. They're still feeling it out.
Yeah, and I would think if you had a chance to pay attention to any of the women's game, you would notice what exactly happens to the disc when it hits that area.
Oregon men did watch most of the Oregon women's title game. At some point, they had to go start warming up.
That's true. Here's Ben Snell. Jonathan Nethercutt, who had that huge day yesterday, being named the Callahan winner and then winning a semifinal game.
Yeah. Keep a count of unforced turnovers, because that could easily decide this game.
Saw a bunch in the first game.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful.
How about that?
Off the pass from Adam Rees and the score. And Dylan Freechild gets Oregon's second goal of the game.
This is not a throw that coaches teach young players. Just pops it over the defender like the mark's not even there. Now, if there's a defender close to Dylan, that throw might not work because of the elevation, but Freechild was so open, he was able to just flip it to space. But again, and I've never seen a young player, you know, actively working on that throw. That's something that he's done in his spare time, confident in it. Their first couple of goals, the lefty backhand, and that ridiculous lofted backhand.
I think Freechild would appreciate that, wouldn't he, being the great assist man that he is.
They're very creative. Oregon just 2-2 in pool play, wins over Illinois and UNC. But Gray Duck, Tough, and Duff felt the wrath of Ego.
I think some of the Great Duck was on hand today when we were touring the area.
Sure.
You were trying to get a feel for who was going to win.
I've been asking everybody just to gain perspectives from as many people as I can, what their expectations are.
Appears to be the biggest crowd we've had for any game, and this is the final game of USA Ultimate's College Championships from Milwaukee. And that one's sailing out of bounds.
So like Jesse Schaffner in the women's final, Jonathan Nethercutt still feeling out the wind. A few turnovers already for him.
Oregon quickly across. William Watkins, 66. Up in the air, who's going to get it? And it's Nethercutt to pick it off.
Said yesterday he's an underrated defender, but this is his game. The deep shot for Snell.
70 yards, can he get there? No. Just past Ben Snell.
I don't care if that was an incomplete throw. That was 85 yards on a rope, and only his man had a chance to catch it.
Not many in this game can do that, if any.
No, that is a premier throw.
Now Oregon back in its own zone and deep. Freechild to the far side to Watkins. And back to Dylan Freechild, who operates the offense for Ego. And who has one of Oregon's goals. Kerry Athey with his first touch today. Never goes far away from Freechild, does it?
He is the guy that they want to have the disc more often than not.
Like a point guard in basketball, he operates the show.
That is a very impressive air bounce. So close to the ground the entire time, yet Oregon had it the whole way. Battling through the wind with these low throws.
Well, Tim McGinn just beyond the outstretched hands of the intended receiver, Athey.
For obvious reasons, when you only throw it 6 to 8 inches above the ground, it needs to be so precise. They worked it all the way down the field on those attempts.
So in the opening minutes, it remains 2-1 in favor of Oregon. Back comes the dark side in the black uniforms and Ben Snell. To Nethercutt, little hammer toss. He's got a man. Caught! Score, North Carolina. What a dynamic throw and catch by Aaron Warschauer.
Nethercutt did a good job giving Warschauer a chance to make this play. But this was Warschauer. The defender played it well, and Warschauer made the late adjustment. Mario Bundy was there, but Warschauer went up above him. Bundy 5'11", Warschauer 6'3".
Think about Nethercutt too. It was like 1001, 1002, disc out of his hands and headed to the end zone.
Bundy did everything well there except be tall.
And you can't adjust there in that 2-2 game. Aaron Warschauer stands at 6'3". Mario Bundy 5'11". That's a 4-inch difference.
Important score there for UNC. It looked like Oregon was going to go up 3-1, eerily similar to yesterday.
Nethercutt now his 43rd assist of the tournament. So Snell will pull for North Carolina. Working upwind.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Vikram Sethuraman swung and missed and almost got burned.
Now Snell with the pickup, and he sends it all the way down. Taller defender able to knock it down. Colton Clark.
He's listed at 6'7", tallest man on either side.
Good to have him back on the defense there. Clark to the middle field, one hops it to Connor Matthews. So off the turn, disc in the hands of North Carolina, and Snell to pick it up. That's that little give and go there. Jimmy Zuraw. Zuraw to the end zone. And broken up at the last minute. A couple of green defenders were there.
Colton Clark again making up the space to knock it away. Free child nearby as well. Nick McLeod for Carolina, along with Tim McAllister in the area.
3 goals scored in a very short period of time. Since then, just 1. Oregon 2 and North Carolina 2. Adam Rees came to get the disc, now across midfield. And a little bit too low for the streaking Eric Norman. Would have been a tough catch.
It's a great bid. Oh. He had a chance. And on the restart, a quick huck. And a better D.
Trevor Smith knocking it out of the air. Smith looking downfield. Quick toss, Eric Norman. Now Zach Meyer. And foul called.
Everybody set, everybody set. Okay.
Freechild, great catch to the end zone, broken up.
Tremendous bid from Nathan Kwan guarding Freechild.
We saw Nathan Kwan play so well last night in the semifinal win, a freshman. And maybe the fastest out there.
Kwan's now going deep.
Can he get it? Yes! This freshman is good, folks.
He's listed at 5'2". He grew up in Cary, North Carolina, not far from Chapel Hill. Not great size, but obviously tremendous speed, awareness, and athleticism. Nice throw from Snell to the back of the end zone.
19 years of age.
And Kwan was guarding Freechild. When Kwan broke deep, Freechild tried to get a switch, but obviously Oregon did not communicate well enough and switch fast enough.
First break of the game to North Carolina. Well, Nathan Kwan's upside for Darkside is pretty good.
No question about that. Mike DeNardis was telling me the other day, this is the year because they're going to be losing a lot of pieces. They'll still be pretty good next year, they think, but they'll just be much younger than they are now. They won't have the veterans like Snell, Zuraw, Nethercutt, Justin Moore. These are all 50-year guys.
Nethercutt with about an 80-yard pull.
Just out of bounds, Oregon will center it to the brick.
Better field position start for Ego. Down a score, 3-2, and this is Freechild facing the zone.
Moore, Archer, McLeod, and McAllister the cup with Hastings sneaking in as well. There were so many black jerseys near that disc.
Very disruptive defense. North Carolina scoring opportunity. J.D. Hastings has got a man. It's Norman Archer. However, a call has been made. Two observers will get together on the near side of the field.
You want to take an injury sub? You staying? Okay.
An injured Ego player.
Maybe he caught an elbow.
Yep,
Ooh.
right there.
And Colton Clark took one on the chin.
Well, if this is basketball, it's an examination of a flagrant 1 versus flagrant 2.
Every set, every set.
Instead, no goal, another opportunity, Snell, and broken up. Or did he just throw it to the turf?
That's the type of throw that Ben Snell's gotten away with for so long, but may not work in a day like this. You need to be extra sure. Just a little quick release, and he just dropped it right to the ground.
Yep. Oregon needing to be very careful in its own zone.
Snell went right through the back of Oregon's Connor Matthews there.
Yeah, Matthews thinks there should be a call.
We'll get another look. Watching this live, it definitely looked like a foul.
Yep.
Now the question is, was it uncatchable? They say yes. That's a tough call.
So no foul on Snell. Possession to North Carolina and Jonathan Nethercutt. And dropped. The hands of J.D. Hastings. Carolina, though, has the lead at 3-2. Back comes Oregon and Connor Matthews.
Snell and Nethercutt just switched roles, with Snell going back as the deep. Nethercutt playing the short, deep role. Now North Carolina tries to switch into man, still poaching a ton, leaves an Oregon player open, but they cannot connect with him.
With a switch on Snell and Nethercutt, what's the reasoning behind it?
I think Snell was just in a better position to go play the deep in that situation. And he's also a little bit taller, might be a smidge better in the air. What North Carolina's been doing deep in Oregon territory defensively is like four or five guys are right around the disc, with Nethercutt and Snell serving as the safety valves.
That's Ben Snell right there as we have another stop in play. After the pick, Mark puts it in play. Snell sends it deep and knocked away and caught. Oh my! Justin Moore.
So demoralizing for Colton Clark in Oregon. He made a sensational play on this disc, but he didn't catch it and he didn't knock it to the ground. Justin Moore stays with it, and like Andrew Meshnick on the second effort, makes the play.
And a SportsCenter top 10 nominee. Not only for laying out on defense, but laying out to score the goal.
Andrew Meshnick of the Madison Radicals was on SportsCenter recently, making a catch very similar to that. And Justin Moore could be on SportsCenter himself. The focus and concentration was remarkable. And you got to feel bad for Colton Clark. I mean, he made the play.
You did.
But he didn't.
Moore, the graduate student. 5th year out of Franklin, Tennessee, age 29. A little older than most. Carolina now with its biggest advantage here in the first half, 4-2. First team to 8 goals, we reach halftime. Ego takes pull from the ground, and there we go. Now, what type of junk defense were we seeing there?
Something that nobody has seen before. It's a variation. I'm serious. And Mike Denardis has said it's basically a clam, but with a variation that he hasn't seen before. He wouldn't tell me the details. I need to do some video study and figure it out by myself.
Well, it's not a man-to-man, right?
No, they're basically trying to clog passing lanes, passing off different cutters to one another, just to basically create mass confusion, and it's working.
North Carolina gets disc back. Ben Snell takes a look down the field.
Yeesh.
Tough play here. Free child for Oregon. They could use a score here and a drop by Zach Meyer. For Snell, but not anywhere near it, and it goes back to Oregon. We remain at 4-2.
I think you'll agree, Jim, there's a crispness to the throws that Free Child and Nethercutt make that you don't see from other throwers in this game.
Nope. They are a different breed of cat. And it's the reason both are Callahan winners. To the end zone and intended for Colton Clark.
This looked like it should have been a score.
Clark had the position on it, couldn't haul it in. Hasn't been Oregon's best half of the tournament, certainly, but the competition now in this championship game.
Oh,
And it's
Freechild. He wanted the Callahan, couldn't catch it cleanly.
And they'll still get the score anyway. As the offense converting from defense, Freechild to Connor Matthews.
I think that was as excited as I've ever seen Dylan on the field, during the field of play, knowing that for this split second, the Callahan Award winner could register a Callahan in the finals. But he picks up the assist.
Yeah, if you catch that in the end zone, you're the defense. That turns out to be a defensive score, and it's a rarity in the game. But fortunately for Freechild, he realized there still is an opportunity to score, and they did.
More conventional right-handed backhand this time for Dylan. Connor Matthews, one of the leading scorers in the tournament. Connor Holcomb of Florida State was unbelievable. And Jeff Babbitt, I think he right now has got to be considered the Callahan front runner for 2016. I think he was the best player at Nationals this weekend. No
Really?
disrespect to Dylan Freechild or Chris LaRocque or Jonathan Nethercutt or Max Thorne or Chase Cunningham or Stanley Peterson, but I don't think I've seen anyone be as dominant on both sides of the disc. And you just look at him on the field, he's a different breed of athlete. Plays for a really good coach, Tina Booth, the legend. Coached high school ultimate at Amherst for so long. Thought she was retiring, and
They got a quick phone call,
not
didn't
so
she?
fast. About 45 minutes after news broke that she was retiring from coaching Amherst High, the UMass men called her and begged her to help. She's been a difference maker.
Another nice grab outside the playing field. You know, when you think about it, when that becomes a souvenir for a spectator that they must return, there shouldn't be any drops by some of the fans here. They're way too talented.
Why isn't this like a baseball game? I mean, shouldn't he get to keep this?
Sure.
We've got enough Ultra Stars in the house.
They
It's like
want
a
to,
foul ball.
present that to Disc Star or USA Ultimate. You know, it was after 9/11 where baseball got even more generous with its baseballs, and in fact, the conclusion of innings, outfielders typically, what a terrific grab by Freechild, with
That's Strub.
headed off to the fans. Broken up though on the other end by Justin Moore. Carolina dark blue, trailing 4-3, dark black, excuse me. That's kind of redundant, I suppose, but appropriately nicknamed Darkside. Easy shot to the end zone and a score.
Oregon had a chance after Strub made the great catch. Oregon's had a bunch of chances, but haven't been able to cash in on a break yet. They're 0 for 5 on break chances, and that is a huge number because Eagles had opportunities. Just a careless throw. That was an easy run through D.
Matt Guchahanis on the receiving end. And Evan now, Oregon 0 for 5 on break points.
Archer, the smooth backhand. And around the end zone, that is probably the safest throw. The disc slightly angled upward gives it a little more stability. Tight rotation. Want to keep it close to the ground too, so the wind has less of an opportunity to wreak havoc.
5 North Carolina Darkside players have scored in this men's championship game. Evan Luppler played his USA Ultimate College game at Wake Forest. I'm Jim Barber. Great to have you with you on E3 for the 6th and final broadcast of our stay in Milwaukee.
Had a bunch of good battles with UNC. Guys like Matt Thomas, Zach Washburn. Really good fights against Darkside. Didn't beat them very often. Some memorable matchups though.
Both hailing from the same state, little distance between the two campuses. Dylan Freechild, a look, and a flick, and a score. Colton Clark.
Here's a simple fact. When Freechild's had the disc in his hands, good things have happened for Oregon. I mean, it's not rocket science. Oregon has not, on the other hand, got very much offense when Freechild hasn't been around the disc. So he's going to have to not win the game by himself, but be involved in everything if Oregon's going to win.
We saw a possession earlier where that was the case, where they're just trying to get it upfield, and Freechild was around the disc or with the disc as much as possible.
So far, all 4 Oregon goals have come in the red zone. No deep shots. And, you know, I think early in the weekend, they tried to huck it deep, and it wasn't as successful, letting Freechild sort of navigate in the handler set, gain yards on the unders, often with the cutters hitting Dylan again, not even looking upfield, looking for the continuation huck.
He's starting to gain on Nethercutt. You see those numbers?
That's just a great list. I mean,
with an 8.
Those 3 guys are all on my all-universe team, 2015 College Nationals.
The Rock ending his season last night in the semis. Norman Archer at midfield. What do you see with this Oregon defense? Any seams?
Well, they're just trying to do their best to contain Carolina man-to-man. I'm a little concerned about Oregon's legs as this game progresses, because they're not a very deep team. They've got 15 guys, they'll all play. So they're 15 deep, and to be honest, North Carolina won't play many more than 15.
Just having the available bodies is a concern, though.
The energy that the Carolina sidelines will bring.
Nethercutt, nice catch, handling the disc and looking. Beautiful.
Such a tough throw for the reset. Wow.
Hop, skip, and a score for Norman Archer. Set up nicely by Jonathan Nethercutt, who didn't throw the disc more than what, a couple of feet.
But again, a tough reset considering where the mark was. I was a little surprised that Justin Moore didn't give him a swing or a dump. Snell downfield, stall count is on. And the lefty, Scuber. The assist for Guch Johannes.
Darkside up by 2 goals once again, 6-4. So for Norman Archer, his 2nd goal of the game. As Evan has told you, he's a sophomore from Chapel Hill. Homegrown product, age 20, anthropology is his major. And a look at the North Carolina fans. who have been here throughout most of this tournament.
Rowdy group. They were supportive last year in Cincinnati when North Carolina fell in the championship game to Colorado. Different experience this year, though. Carolina looked at as the favorite in this game.
In the women's finals, Oregon was down at the end of the first half in that one before rallying.
Ben Snell with the defense. And not a high percentage shot for Oregon, especially with Snell lingering back there. You know, UNC is a team, they just make sense. They have two really tall handlers that have great throws, but can also defend the deep and cut deep. They have an army of athletes to keep the pressure on and just run teams to the ground.
If you're Oregon, why take the shot if it's not high percentage?
It's a great question.
Good layout there. They keep it alive for Darkside, trying to make it a 3-goal advantage. Nethercutt.
Not in the end zone yet.
Right there, though, and there's the man to score it. J.D. Hastings, 7-4, North Carolina.
Must admit, a little disappointing that McLeod didn't get in the end zone here, because he has a tradition of creative goal-scoring celebrations.
You have to look for him then.
Quickly tapped it back in and found the muscle hamster, as he's known, J.D. Hastings.
North Carolina has 4 first-half breaks. And for J.D., first goal of the game. By the way, were you aware he's from Winston-Salem, North Carolina?
Represent. Played with a local club team, Pilot, that is working on growing the Piedmont Triad youth scene and club scene to compete with the top other teams in North Carolina.
Well, you have shamelessly promoted your all-universe team, so let us visually indicate to people who your best 7 are. And I know you felt bad about leaving a few names out, but
Yeah,
who could argue with this group?
Well, I think a lot of people could. I know some Colorado fans are wondering where's Stanley Peterson on that list. He's a tough guy to leave off, but I just think everybody on this list is dynamic and can do multiple things. Freechild and Nethercutt have won Callahan's. I think Babbitt's the favorite for next year. Bennett, Cunningham, Earls, LaRock. I mean, they're all unstoppable forces. And when they go head-to-head, it's so much fun because they all can't win. I mean, that's the magic of sports, the competition that it creates. Feel free to chime in on Twitter and let me know what you think. Am I crazy? Am I correct? I imagine most people will think the former.
There'll be a few who think you'll be correct. Okay, tough spot for Oregon, about to get the disc, trailing 7-4 and just before halftime. If North Carolina could get that 8th goal. Dylan Freechild knocks it down. Here they go up to Chris Strub. Norman comes to get the disc, and it is broken up. North Carolina can send us to halftime. Nethercutt on a shorter field, so dangerous. Caught! 8th goal, first half, halftime.
What a run for Darkside, and it's McLeod who makes a tough leaping grab on this bullet shot from Nethercutt. Takes the backhand to create space for the inside flick.
Another assist for the Callahan Award winner.
It's hard to tell if this was to McLeod or Snell, but if McLeod didn't get it, And Strub probably would have. And that flick had some impressive velocity to it. I'd like to get a radar gun and measure how fast Nethercutt's flick is. I don't think too many can throw it faster.
It's got quite a fastball there, and Carolina has doubled up on Oregon in the first half, 8-4. How many people saw this coming?
And I think people saw North Carolina as the team that had the edge. Oregon a little bit more of a mystery, but they've relished being the underdog and embraced the fact that they didn't feel the pressure has been on them like in years past.
Jay Jannon, the head coach of Oregon, joins us here at the break. Jay, what about the stretch run for North Carolina that has allowed it to go up 8-4?
Ugh, 8-4. I thought we were closer than that. We've been knocking at the door a few times. We just haven't been able to punch it in, and we're having a little bit of a hard time on the transitions when we go from O to D.
Jay, how much do you want Dylan to touch the disc? Should he be an every other throw guy in the second half?
I don't know about every other throw, but definitely going upwind, we want him to have the disc as much as possible.
And in terms of taking your shots, what's the balance between looking long, but you also have to respect the fact that they have some pretty good tall defenders out there?
Looking deep and field position are important, so we're going to keep doing the best we can on that.
What will be your primary message to the guys at halftime here?
Keep pushing, keep fighting through.
Thank you, Jay.
Yep, thank you.
Jay Jannon joining us here at the break. And we'll speak to Mike DeNardis before we start the second half. But right now it is all North Carolina leading 8-4. 3 seed leading the 15 seed. We'll come back with first half highlights and statistics here on ESPN3 for the Ultimate Championship. Jim Barber and our USA Ultimate expert, Evan Leffler. Evan, please explain to me what's going on in the far corner by Darkside.
My expertise does not extend to halftime rituals such as this. I look forward to asking Mike DeNardis what the heck is going on here. Clearly they're loose. They're up 8-4. They're 7 points away from the school's first ever national title. And yet they looked as relaxed as they've ever been.
Well, I thought I'd ask. Here's the scoring summary for Oregon. As Dylan Freechild has figured in all 4 goals. He has a goal and 3 assists. Reese, Clark, and Matthews have scored. And on the other side, they have really spread out the wealth with Ben Snell with 3 assists so far.
And if Oregon has any chance, Dylan Freechild is going to have to lead the way. It's a huge burden on his shoulders. Gigantic.
Let's take a look at the Oregon scoring in the first half. It started off well enough in which they were able to find the end zone.
Yeah, they did a good job taking care of the disc. That was a very impressive flip to the end zone. The pop backhand from Adam Reese to Freechild. Every other scoring throw for Oregon was Dylan hitting another one of his teammates.
And then North Carolina on offense, that's Ben Snell right there with the disc.
Yeah, I mean, Snell would have been a great Callahan nominee as well. You know, if not for Nethercutt being on the same team. And he's a guy that really has all sorts of angles to his game. He can cut, he can throw short, and he's got the long balls as well. And this perhaps the play of the half. UNC getting lucky as Justin Moore stayed with it. Jimmy Zura hasn't done as much today. He was so huge yesterday. But he got that flip ahead to the reliable Archer, who found an open black shirt in the end zone. And then the lefty Scoober here from Nethercutt. That is something else.
Carolina possibly looking as good as it's looked all tournament long.
10 years ago, you do not see offhand Scoobers at a championship game.
Really?
Not at all.
Let's take a break and come back with the USA Ultimate College Championship, the men's final. Time now to give equal time to the head coach of North Carolina, and he's got to have the answer for this halftime ritual that, Evan, despite your great expertise, were unable to answer.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on there. I'm sure Mike DeNardis can explain it in great detail.
Actually, I have no clue what was going on there. I know they brought a baseball bat today. And they're just trying to keep loose, and I really have no idea why there is.
You kind of stay away from that, right?
Yeah.
It speaks, though, to how loose you guys are. What was the key to the first half, in your opinion?
I mean, it just play looser than we did in the UCF game and run our traditional systems. Move to the break side, attack deep early, which is what we did, and then take the unders. And they gave us a bunch of easy unders, especially on our first upwinder. And, you know, that's what we have to do. We can't just take 50-50 shots, and we look way cleaner today, and that's what I expected out of them.
Mike, I know you don't want to play the what-if game, but if Ben Snell was healthy last year, maybe this is the second title you're pursuing. What has he meant to your team, and what's it been like to integrate him back into the system as he's been able to do more and more things?
Well, as Nutt leads the offense, Ben leads the defense, and those two guys challenge each other all practice, all season long, and then when they get together on a line, it just makes us all the more powerful. And, I mean, they're great leaders for our team. They work hard in the gym, and it shows on the field. Having him back completes our team, and he's a fantastic player, and I hope I get to coach him for a long time.
Yeah, because of Snell's work so far, he's been able to spread the wealth. 7 different players have scored in this game for North Carolina. Second half, what's important with a 4-score advantage?
I mean, we just got to play like that score says 0-0. Just continue to play with fire, play with intensity, and play our advantages, and we'll come away with a win.
Mike, we do appreciate your time. Good luck.
Thank you.
We'll come back with the second half. It's North Carolina 8, Oregon 4. Final game of USA Ultimate here in Milwaukee. Pretty loyal fan contingent. In fact, in addition to the Carolina fans there, we've seen a group of men and women that have been throughout the tournament with us.
Singing, dancing.
Brought signs today honoring you, I believe.
They were pretty hastily made signs with oak tag and a Sharpie, but I appreciate it nonetheless.
Well, it was the effort, right?
Absolutely.
Second half begins with Oregon ready to pull and down by 4. Now the women were down. The Oregon women to Stanford by 2 in their championship game. This is a much more difficult deficit. North Carolina Darkside 7 goals away from a title. Nethercutt up to midfield to Archer. And back to the man, Jonathan Nethercutt. Carolina so good in the first half on limiting mistakes.
If you're Oregon defensively, it's just tough to try to come up with something to slow down this Carolina offense.
Right now, man-to-man.
They've been a beacon of efficiency throughout nationals.
Looking to get it back to Nethercutt. Zura. And off the layout, turnover to Oregon. There's a break.
That's a shot that I'm sure Mike DeNardis doesn't think Darkside needed to take.
Nope.
Yikes. This is going to come back in play, maybe. Jonathan Nethercutt cleans it up.
Yeah, who else? Lots of dark jerseys for Darkside around the play. Ben Snell, who had 3 first-half assists. Good grab by Nethercutt. And a North Carolina score to start the second half. Jimmy Zura makes it 9-4. Boy, North Carolina looks so good today.
But they look like themselves, Jim. I mean, this is who they are. And it's who they've been throughout the season. Yeah, they had a couple bumps in the road, but Mike DeNardis has said how they were similar to what Carleton has done in the past, playing for regionals and nationals, trying to peak at this right time. A few personnel changes from last year, a couple freshmen more involved, Ben Snell healthy this time around, but a lot of similar faces to what you saw in 2014 in Mason. This is an exclusive club, so many great players. Nick Lance won a national title with Denver Johnny Bravo, teammates with Jimmy Mickle. George Stubbs, a great for Boston Ironside in the club scene. Eli Friedman, tremendous player as well.
Jimmy Mickle in attendance for most of the day today after arriving via Red Eye to watch his alma mater and salute the new Callahan winner.
Yeah, it was pretty cool that we had both of last year's Callahan Award winners here to present the trophy.
Yes.
Sort of like a Masters feel to it, giving the green jacket.
That's a great analogy.
That's not always the case. Often just because of schedule, logistical issues, you don't usually see, I shouldn't say usually, you don't always see last year's Callahan Award winner here this year.
5-score deficit for Oregon, that's its biggest. Carolina swarming with the defense, looking like it's going to go in for the kill here. I think they realize the opportunity to try to finish this off. Deep into the red zone. North Carolina scores again. Archer. And it's a rout.
Yeah, this feels like a Carolina coronation, doesn't it? Still a lot of time before the soft cap, so Oregon has plenty of time to work with. But, I mean, one turnover and a score is not going to get it done.
Sometimes it looks like there are more black jerseys on defense that you might expect. I mean, they almost seem like they're swarming and ready to put this thing out of sight and out of mind. They're now 5 goals away.
A lot of that is the sidelines that literally are swarming.
Yep.
Around the point, the Darkside towels, the new gimmick for Carolina this year, giving everyone on the sideline a role, uniting the sidelines with their fans in the stands.
And if you have the disc, it's much like having the ball in basketball. If you're on the sidelines, it's a good place to trap you. It's hard to get out of territory. It's almost like that invisible defender there.
In the age we live, those Darkside towels have their own Twitter account. You don't even have a Twitter account.
I don't. And now that you bring it up, I'm embarrassed by it.
You got beaten by the Darkside towel. Come on, Jim, get with the times.
Which I think is more popular than me anyway. 2-0 advantage for North Carolina in the second half, adding to an 8-4 first half lead.
This is not Oregon's day.
Nope. Another cut, another opportunity for North Carolina to add to its lead. Everybody just using their passing lanes to great efficiency here. Look at this. Oh! Unsuccessful there, intended for Dane Nielsen.
It would have been pretty. Like a pretty good throw, but having to tiptoe the sidelines, unable to haul it in. He'll watch that replay and feel like he should have made the catch, but to come back to live action again, Oregon just can't connect.
These possessions for Oregon aren't lasting very long. Been forced to play a lot of defense.
Hastings with a lefty backhand back to Nethercutt, and then the righty flick to the end zone for Tim McAllister.
Gorgeous. Just textbook for North Carolina here in the second half. Darkside had saved its best game for last.
The role players doing the little things. J.D. Hastings had the disc twice there, threw a bunch of great fakes that opened up throwing lanes each time. Fakes to the right, pivots back, cuts immediately once he releases the disc. And then a nice low release flick for McAllister. Another very talented UNC cutter.
Well, North Carolina's 4 scores away from adding its name to the list. Colorado defeated North Carolina last year, part of that pit. And Oregon takes a much-needed timeout.
Florida won it in 06 as well. Brown won it before that. Colorado in 04. Wisconsin back in '03. And these are the powerful programs that North Carolina has entered into.
We were saying, what, 10 years ago this was not the case?
I think North Carolina was pretty strong 10, 11 years ago. It was more 5, 6 years ago they experienced a valley. And they really struggled as the North Carolina section and the Atlantic Coast region became so daunting with Wilmington surging. And East Carolina has traditionally been so strong. Davidson had a couple really good years. NC State. Elon has become a really strong program now competing at the Division III level. Appalachian State had a top 5 Callahan finisher last year in Justin Allen. I feel like I'm forgetting someone in the country. I mean, Duke has been respectable as well through the years. There's just so many college programs, and iron sharpens iron. In North Carolina, you can't credit Mike Donardis enough. A guy who went to the University of Iowa thinking he was going to walk onto the wrestling team, and it didn't work out. He realized he couldn't do that, so he discovered Ultimate. Played in Chicago, played with Chicago Machine, one of the top club teams. Moved to the Triangle and immediately got involved. He works a full-time job. He's a full-time dad, and he coaches 3 different teams.
Wow. Oregon now approaching 35 minutes without a score. Connor Matthews ahead, and the layout, and it goes for naught. Mario Bundy trying to catch up with that laser from Matthews. Oregon possessions have not lasted very long in this second half, and they've been outscored 3-0.
It's funny, just like yesterday, Carolina was in danger of falling behind 3-1 in the first half. Remember last night UCF called a timeout on the goal line up 2-1, could not punch it into the red zone. Similar story today. Oregon had that 2-1 lead, an opportunity, and it's been all Darkside since. Freechild with a good layup, but he couldn't get to Quan, who hit Snell, who hit Moore.
One of the Oregon defenders fell down, now back up. Moore looking over the field. Gonna get it back.
They're in the zone. They are absolutely in the zone. This was NBA Jam. The Frisbee would have flames protruding from it.
This is one of those days you want to bottle and certainly put on tape, so the people that inherit this program can take a look at just what has been classic USA Ultimate.
Justin Moore's reset to Nethercutt is not a throw that should work. Look at this. He sneaks it through the smallest space and then just immediately breaks free. And Oregon has been a step or 2 or 3 behind all day long.
Now North Carolina 3 goals away for the title.
Push pass also in Nutt's arsenal.
Well, you play this sport a long time. You know what happens when things are working and you get into that zone. Just about anything that you attempt is going to be successful, if not close to.
They're going to enjoy the rest of this thing.
46 assists now, excuse me, Evan, for Nethercutt.
It really is amazing that coming into this weekend, it wouldn't have surprised anyone if Max Thorne was the darling of this tournament for Pittsburgh, or Matt Bennett for Texas A&M. Chris LaRocque was great. Jeff Babbitt had a chance to shine on a large stage. But Jonathan Nethercutt has taken this tournament by storm. North Carolina's put him in a position to succeed, and he's done it. Made it look easy.
And especially the last couple of games after receiving the prestigious Most Valuable Player Award yesterday afternoon during one of the women's semifinals. Well, can Oregon get any consolation out of this?
They just got to have fun and try to put a few scores together. Everything has been difficult, though. The
North Carolina bench
relentless.
starting to wave to its fan support. Go back to a point you made earlier about the way North Carolina has handled the discs today, even in what's been difficult windy weather.
They've relied on their top guys. I mean, Nethercutt and Snell have touched it more than anybody. It's the first mistake that's made in the second half.
That's the way it usually works when an announcer makes reference to it.
It's not your fault, Chip. It's not your fault.
You've done enough baseball and basketball to know. Adam Rees, and a foul called. Christopher Straub went down on one knee.
The foul.
Wow. Nice job by Mitch Dengler explaining exactly why he was issuing the blue card, the team misconduct foul. Dangerous play.
Yep.
Can Oregon get on the board in the second half?
Yes.
He juggled it, but he hauled it in.
Trevor Smith, and that breaks a drought of almost 40 minutes. First Oregon goal in a long time. Their fifth of the afternoon, 12-5, North Carolina.
The drought has felt like a nightmare
Sure.
for Oregon. And it continues. Dylan Freechild, a goal and 4 assists. He's been involved in all 5. Ego scores. It's a little poetic justice. 1992. Both Oregon teams in the finals. The men won, the women lost. We're going to see the reverse of that today.
The ultimate gods apparently do not want to reward the same school twice in the same day.
Still a pretty incredible year for Ultimate in the Pacific Northwest and Eugene. I can't wait to see what Dylan Freechild becomes as a club player. Talked about yesterday, Rhinos upset win over Sockeye at Club Nationals. I'm sure there's some Sockeye guys out there who are really upset that I brought that up. But it was truly tremendous. You know, 2 cities, Portland and Seattle, that have developed a great rivalry. Portland's always been the little brother in that rivalry, but
Think that's going to change?
Dylan Freechild has something to say about it.
Sure.
It will.
From the brick, North Carolina goes to work here. Standing at 12 goals, 3 goals away. As it takes one team to 15 to win a championship. Nethercutt getting the disc ahead of Straub. To Norman Archer. Score! Had to wait for the observer to give the notice. Uchahanas with the catch and the 13th goal of the day for North Carolina, now 2 away.
We spent a lot of time talking about the present and the past of North Carolina. That young man, Matt Guchohannes, is the future. A freshman starting on the Carolina O-line. 18 years old, grew up in Durham. He is going to be a marked man in the college scene. You score goals in the championship game as a freshman. In a blowout victory, people are going to know who you are.
Oh, yes. In the red zone, Darkside white hot today. 10 goals, 10 of their 13 have been scored there. In other words, they've been nearly automatic.
And it's a combination of the system and the players. Like Jonathan Nethercutt. Started playing Ultimate. He's throwing the disc at summer camp. North Carolina, born and bred. He's got a real country way about him.
This pull was a dandy.
May have landed out the back.
Yeah. Maybe not that much of a dandy, but it was long and distance. In the way some of our lingo includes brick, where it's a spot where play can be initiated when a pull lands out of bounds, which just happened moments ago. Had a few in that area land out of bounds. Freechild, who's been a part of every Oregon goal today with a score and 4 assists.
And that was the big question mark for Oregon coming into the weekend, is did Ego have enough surrounding Dillon? And you know, it's hard to be overly critical because here they are in the finals. They had enough to beat Texas and Florida State, Minnesota, but not nearly enough.
And fairly or not, coming in as the 15 seed.
Yeah, well, they were the 4th ranked team at the end of the regular season, but as you talked about earlier, stumbled at regionals.
It's quite a drop, though. I think it was a little misnumbered at 15, headed, that's going to be caught. Nick McLeod caught up with it. And North Carolina is on the threshold of a championship at McLeod. Well, it's a good look for him.
You think he's going to change his name to Nick 14? I mean, this is some Ocho Cinco's shenanigans from Nick McLeod.
Well, first he had to make sure he caught it, and then it's showtime. Lather up a little bit. Close shave.
Taking some photos.
Where's the Sharpie to sign it?
To your question about Oregon seeding, I think it's worth looking at the idea of not requiring regionals results to impact national seeding. Sort of take regionals as a whole part of the regular season for the qualifying teams, because the way it works now, the teams that finished ahead of Oregon at regionals by rule have to be seeded ahead of them at nationals.
I think your point's well taken.
So as far as Oregon was concerned, they had to be seeded behind Western Washington, who didn't have as strong of a season. And do you put Western Washington up around 7 or 8 where they may not deserve to get Oregon up there, or do you drop Oregon? I think that's the real reason for the seeding of getting Oregon at 15 coming to nationals. Now USA Ultimate has changed that for the club season. Regional results do not necessarily by rule have to impact the seeding.
So North Carolina on the verge of a championship, this becoming championship point.
Some seniors who haven't played a ton for North Carolina taking the field here. A guy like Clayton Noblet, Tanner Barkas, Out there with Nethercutt, Zuraw, Snell, Justin Moore.
Good gesture by Mike Donardis, the head coach.
Tim McAllister out there as well. And Ben Snell endures the contact to make the play.
He has had a wonderful afternoon. North Carolina on the move, looking for that final point. Getting closer. Back to Nethercutt. McAllister to Nethercutt. Looking ahead. It's Snell. North Carolina calls a timeout to set up what could very well be the final play of this championship.
What a low pressure dream situation this is.
Yes, up by 9.
Who do you want to score the winning goal, Coach?
Well, what would your vote be?
Well, Snell's going to have the disc. My guess is we'll see a reset to Nethercutt and either Snell breaking up field from the handler set to space, or perhaps one of the downfield cutters like Zuraw or Moore or McAllister. It really doesn't matter. It's impressive to see guys like Barkas and Noblet just step in and immediately integrate into the flow of the offense like they've been playing all game long.
Yeah. Here we go.
Nethercutt's behind the disc.
To the right is Snell.
Vert stack in the end zone. Zuraw number 1. Guarded by Strub. Freechild's on the dump, Nethercutt.
Championship point. Nethercutt straight ahead. Good layout. They're close. And broken up. And an Oregon player hurt. It's a good play by Eric Norman defending against Tim McAllister. Norman says, not on my watch.
Gonna stay out there. Oregon will have the disc.
Oregon not quite done yet. Connor Matthews. To Mario Bundy. Now Matthews heads over toward the end zone. Freechild, nicely done. Matthews on the receiving end.
Well, he can't do it all by himself, but he can do an awful lot. Freechild and Matthews here. 1 goal and 5 assists. He's been involved in all 6 Eagle goals.
This was an 8-4 game at halftime. 14-6 right now. Championship point still awaits North Carolina. The numbers on Dylan Freechild that Evan told you about.
You got Aaron Warschauer, Norman Archer, Ben Snell, Matt Guccio-Hannes, Jimmy Zuraw, Jonathan Nethercutt, and Justin Moore. Trying to win their first national title. Finished second last year.
In a game that you were witness to.
Sometimes you get close, you never get another chance to win that top prize, but UNC certainly looked at that loss last year as a motivating factor.
Well, that holds true in just about any sport.
And with Nationals next year scheduled to be in Raleigh, North Carolina, not far from Chapel Hill, the hosts will have a little swagger when they welcome folks to town.
It'll be quite a contingent. This one shoots over the intended receiver. And so, disc back to Oregon. Oregon women won the national title earlier today, defeating Stanford. In an effort to make it 2 in a row for the university, the men find themselves down by 8. And little time left. Oregon's got to be careful there. Ego trying to stall the conclusion to this one, which I guess you could say is inevitable.
Feels that way.
Carolina back with a disc, back with another chance to end it. Uchahanas with the disc, and that one sails out of bounds. Freechild with a long look down, and he's got a man.
Not in the end zone yet. That was a spectacular throw from Freechild.
Really close, though. Somebody's open. There he is. No!
Wow.
Tough break.
I mean, we've all been there. We've all dropped discs that we should have caught one time or another, but this is a large stage under a shining spotlight. And a fairly inconsequential but still frustrating missed opportunity for Oregon. Oof.
So back to the action and back to North Carolina with yet another chance. Put a conclusion to this one. Intended for Snell. Darkside can't quite put a cap on this one. Tough catch, Freechild.
Nope. That throw notwithstanding, Freechild's played a pretty strong game.
He sure has.
I was critical of him last year. Wasn't all his fault. Gabe Fruchter got hurt early in their semifinals. Dylan he had a chance to make a few plays that he couldn't come down with. They needed him to be great. He was fine, but he wasn't spectacular. He's been very solid in this game, just hasn't had enough around him.
Looking ahead, this could be game point broken up. Chris Strub was back, and he wasn't the only one. Also defended by Nick Heaton. Intended for Justin Moore.
Oregon's not giving up. Give them credit for that. A lot of folks are waiting to hit send on those congratulatory championship tweets.
Well, there may be a chance here with this turnover in a short field for Darkside.
This is their 6th time having the disc with a chance to close it out.
Is this the moment for North Carolina? Another cut to Snell. Snell toward the end zone. Diving catch, and it's over. North Carolina national champions. clinic today.
An exhibition of greatness from the University of North Carolina. About as well as college ultimate can be played, offensively and defensively. You know, sloppy final point notwithstanding, Jim. These guys took it to an Oregon team that we saw go on this incredible run. Now they're not Cinderella. It's not the slipper fitting for Oregon because they've been such a strong program. This is not George Mason making the Final Four in terms of Oregon. This is UCLA coming from maybe a 12 seed and making it to the Final Four, but they're not Cinderella. On the other hand, University of North Carolina, led by the Callahan Award winner, Jonathan Nethercutt. For the second straight year, the National Player of the Year is on the national champions.
Well said. To the break we go, and we'll come back with some of the stars of today's national title win by North Carolina Darkside. The 2015 USA Ultimate College Championships are presented by Discraft Ultrastar, the official disc of USA Ultimate. Ask your retailer for Discraft Ultrastar. The Triple Crown Tour, the sport of Ultimate's premier competitive experience. And by USA Ultimate, the national governing body for the sport of Ultimate in the United States. For more information or where to find out to play Ultimate in your area, visit usaultimate.org. Now the party's on with North Carolina. 15-6 win over Oregon. Players celebrate with fans and family. Mike DeNardes was right in the middle of all that. He's the head coach of North Carolina's first national championship. Mike, take us to the celebration down below moments ago and what it was like.
Well, it's just so fantastic to give these guys, I mean, everyone on the team, but especially the guys that have been around for 5 years, this championship. They worked so hard, and last year with Snell going down, it was so hard on us to lose that last game knowing we had so much more to give. We completed our journey.
A year ago, you lost this final game. How much was that a motivating factor, and what was the offseason like? Were you talking about returning to this moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the early season, especially in spring, you know, I think our focus was too much on winning the championship. And there's a divide in our team in terms of age. There's a lot of young guys that have a ton of promise and a ton of talent, and a lot of fifth years that have been along the ride. And it got a little topsy-turvy because we took winning a little too seriously. And once we got refocused, we talked about what our real priorities are. We found what we needed to push us forward in terms of a whole team atmosphere that we would enjoy winning. We don't want to win just to win. Like there's no pleasure in that. So we enjoyed the victory, and we enjoyed the ride the whole way.
You feel your defense carried you, or did your offense carry you today?
Well, our defense got some breaks, right? So I think the D carried us for the most part.
There was a moment in the second half, Mike, where you were forcing turnovers, short possessions for Oregon, capitalizing immediately, and I think Evan brought the point up, is just textbook at this point of how that offense was operating off the defense.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we expected to do yesterday. We had plenty of opportunities. We had about the same amount of opportunities, and we capitalized today. And you know what? There's probably 10-mile-an-hour more wind, and that's a testament to what we are capable of when we focus, and this win showed it.
What did it mean to you to have all the seniors on for one of those last couple of points? Unfortunately, they couldn't punch it in, but they had pretty good flow down the field.
Yeah, they did. And the guy, Tanner, caught 2 unders. He was a B-teamer last year. And you see, I mean, in 1 year of being in our program, he's turned into this fantastic player. And unfortunately, he didn't get a ton of playing time late in these games. But, I mean, that's just a testament to how hard he worked. And just 1 point is something that shows our gratitude for how hard these guys work, and these seniors deserve that point.
Mike, congratulations and enjoy.
Thank you very much.
Mike DeNardes, head coach of North Carolina's first national championship, and the highlights and our Discraft Ultrastar play of the game include that diving moment there, and it's worthy of yet another look as Justin Moore makes the catch of the tournament, perhaps.
Mike DeNardes just got a cake to the face. I think it was J.D. Hastings who drilled him, and he got him so good.
Well, you know, the offense has been on all day, so
That was sensational.
Maybe this should be our play of the game.
That should be in the SportsCenter top 10 right there. That's the
think there's
play
a
of the
doubt.
weekend. Look how much those guys enjoyed it. I said, you know, this team would not be where they are without Mike DeNardis. The strategic leadership he's brought, you know, X's and O's, but much more about culture and commitment and just creating a system for this team to succeed. The talent's great. Mike has been the leader of it all.
Jonathan Nethercutt, did you have anything to do with that cake in the face there?
I didn't know anything about it until I walked over there and was told to distract Mike. But I am certainly glad it was something that happened.
Now, take us through the end of the game. What was going through your mind? And poetically, you made the layout grab to win it.
And poetically from Ben Snell too. So, I mean, I guess coming out of the second half, we talked about it in the huddle that we had to be relentless. We didn't have time to give up. And you know, we came out, we got some breaks quick, and started rolling, and that's just a great feeling. But surprisingly, and it was good for us, our mentality was just, you know, we had to get to 15. There was no letting off the gas until that point. And you know, we were grinding, and everyone was committing to playing some hard defense and some great O. We got contributions across the board, and then, you know, a messy point to end it. But I think I like to think we were just trying to find the right way and see what fit best. And I guess a Snell throw to me was what we wanted to end it on. So.
Not after the loss to Colorado. Oh my!
Whoa. Hey, how's that taste?
It's sweet. It's sweet.
After the loss to Colorado a year ago, did you actively think of returning to this moment?
I mean, I think undoubtedly. I mean, directly, wow, this cake is just everywhere.
Pretty good, huh?
But, yeah, without question, I mean, after losing that one, there's few things I think that feel the same as losing a college finals, especially when you anticipate that it might be your last one. So all year we were working to it, and we talked about it going into this year, and we've talked about it a lot throughout the year that, you know, we had one goal. We wanted to get back to this point, and we wanted to get, you know, some redemption, and we wanted to win one. We thought we should have won one last year. We wanted to win one. Colorado played a phenomenal game, and, you know, we just couldn't earn it. But I know the fifth-year guys returning on this team, myself, Jay Moore, Jimmy Zuraw, and Ben Snell, we wanted to earn one for the guys that didn't get one last year, and we just wanted to earn one, you know, for the squad we had this year. So yeah, we've been anticipating this moment, trying to get back here to get a shot at you know, at getting one of those national championships.
And a final question, Jonathan, the historical perspective of winning the first national championship for North Carolina, what's that mean?
I mean, it means a lot. I mean, I play for Ring of Fire, and those guys are big about talking about, you know, playing for the guys that came before you, and I think that's kind of a North Carolina mentality. And I think we were kind of the only program, you know, in North Carolina, the big name program that hadn't had one. You know, ECU had one, State's got one, Wilmington's got one, and it was about time for North Carolina to get one. So it's phenomenal. It's something that, you know, North Carolina Darkside has been waiting to say for a long time, and I'm glad I could be a part of that. So.
Well, today you had your cake and you could eat it too, so congratulations.
Thank you guys.
Congrats, Nut.
Appreciate it, Evan.
So the men's bracket now complete. Today, North Carolina dominates Oregon 15-6 to bring home the first title in USA Ultimate to the city of Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And back to the women, just a couple hours ago, Oregon defeated Stanford 13-11 to win the third women's championship for the University of Oregon. Evan, it's been a pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you, Jim.
USA Ultimate Men.
So for Evan, Jim Barber saying so long from Eline Soccer Park in Milwaukee. Final score in our men's championship game, North Carolina 15, Oregon 6. And to watch this entire game on replay, log on to watchespn.com or download the Watch ESPN app. We thank everybody for watching, and this has been a presentation of ESPN.